Brian, you've done a ton of work when it comes to choreographing. I know that you work with X Factor, and we'll definitely get to that. But you did some choreographing for Michael Jackson, which is huge. I mean, probably every dancer's dream, right?
Well, now that Michael has passed away, it's even more of an amazing achievement because not everyone's going to get to experience that, which is a horrible thing. But I started working when I was a kid, and I worked for Michael as a dancer. That was how I was first introduced to him, and it was crazy because he was my icon. You know, that's who I wanted to dress up like when I was a little kid dancing in my room before I even made it a career of what I was going to do. So to work for him was really incredible at an early age, and then getting the chance to actually be on a project where I was choreographing was just dream come true. It was him and NSYNC, and it wasn't a huge one because it wasn't, Smooth Criminal or one of the ones where Michael was dancing. It was just a performance where Michael came out and he made a cameo at the end of it. But to have him in the rehearsal process and just be in that, in the room with him and in the capacity where you're actually telling him, okay, well, you're going to stand here and you're going to do this and this is how it's going to look. It was incredible.
So I have to go back to when you were a child. How does an opportunity come about to be a dancer for Michael Jackson?
There was an audition, and it was, for me, the biggest audition of my life, and it was only like the third audition I ever went on. But I started dancing when I was a kid, and I lucked out. An agent signed me and then started calling me for auditions. So this is one of the first auditions I ever went on. But, getting that call, it's for Michael Jackson live performance. It's going to be on MTV for the 10th anniversary of MTV. I'm dating myself.
That's all right.
So I got the call. I was just nervous as can be. Went into the audition, did what I did. Like, what I was doing was not a job to me. It was what I loved. So I showed up, and hopefully that energy shined through, and it did because I got the job. And just showing up to rehearsal and waiting for Michael to walk in the room was probably one of the most nerve-wracking things that I had ever gone through. And when he did walk in, it was the last time I ever remember being starstruck to that extent. I thought that I was going to turn to stone. But it was incredible, and just having that happen at 14 years old is incredible. Can't.
And I mean, once you've hit that mark, being a dancer, looking up to him as your idol, let's say, once you've hit that, you sort of already know that you've made it. I mean, if you're working for him, it's kind of a big deal, right?
In a way, I mean, the industry is very up and down. To feel like you've ever made it is to kind of count yourself out of the next opportunity, because you always have to be striving for what's next and keep pushing forward. But to set goals, I think, is really great, and achieve those goals. And as a kid, I made my wish list of who I wanted to work for, and Michael Jackson was one of the first people on the list, and he was one of the first people I crossed off. So knowing that you're achieving goals that you're setting is a really great thing. But yeah, it's a lot of big shoes to fill, setting such huge dreams that come true as a kid. Nothing really will ever live up to those experiences, especially being that it was Michael Jackson, and there's no one like him anymore, and I don't think there ever will be. No.
Now you've moved on. You're a part of the X Factor. Can you tell us a little bit about that whole experience?
It's exciting. It's a lot of work. Taking people who haven't really trained to do this their whole life but have raw talent and trying to get them from A to Z in such a short period of time is definitely a challenge. But I love a challenge. I've been doing the show for 7 years now. We started in the UK, and I did it over there for a long time, and then we got to bring it to America, and it's great to bring it here because it's something that I've been so passionate about for so long. But there's a lot of competition here. We've got The Voice and we've got Idol, and it's hard to be where we are over there, which is we're number one over there. There is no competition for us. So
we went over years ago to Europe, to England, and X Factor was out, and it's not new here, but it's a lot newer.
We're babies, we're only 2 years old here, so it's hard to compete with the mother that is Idol, and even The Voice. The Voice launched before we did, so we're the new kids on the block, but we're here to stay, and the show keeps shaking up. Every year we come on, there's new changes, so I'm excited to see and roll with what the changes are this year, but it's exciting to do.
And do you have background in all different types of dance?
Yeah, I trained in everything. I'm from a different era of dancers. I'm not from the so you think you can dance era of students where you choose that one style of dance and you're like, I'm a hip hop dancer, I'm a ballroom dancer. I came from the era where if you were a dancer, you were a dancer through and through. You trained in everything because there was a small pool of working dancers back then, and if you wanted to work, you had to be good at everything. So I trained in every style that you could possibly train in, and the things I didn't train in, I had on-site work experience. I would end up doing flamenco for a job or all these other styles, African. So I have a small arsenal that I've taken with me into my choreography world, and I try to incorporate a lot of different styles and use as much as I can just to keep it fresh.
And in saying that, do you have a favorite style?
I don't. I actually don't have a favorite style.
It's a good way to be, though.
I never could pick it when I was a kid either. They would always ask that question of dancers, well, what do you like to do the most? And I think it depends on what mood you're in that day. If I'm feeling sexy, I want to do something sexy. If I'm emotional and I need a release, I want to do like some contemporary. That's what we say now, but back in the day it was like lyrical. You do whatever makes you feel good. If you're in a club, you want to do stuff that's easy and simple. You have a hip hop groove, but it's whoever you're feeling like being that day. And that's the great thing about dance is you don't have to, sort of marry yourself to one style. You can do anything.
So when it comes to showing your X Factor contestants the image that you see, the way you see them moving to the music, how do you portray that? Do you just go out and you show them exactly how it is?
Yeah, oftentimes the dancers are doing different things than the contestants. I've got a great team of choreographers that choreograph all the stuff on the dancers, and I take the contestants because they're the ones that are fun for me. That's the challenge. Anyone can make dancers that are professional look good, but can you make this amateur who really can't move look great on stage? And sometimes they're not dancing. It's just about how they command the stage, even if they're standing still, what they're doing with their arms, their gestures, their mannerisms. But I definitely think about who they are as an artist and try and pull who they are out and put it on the stage rather than turning them into something that they're not. It's sort of enhancing and buffing and polishing and shining up what's already there. In some instances, they're dance artists and they want to be better dancers. So that's when we step in and we start teaching them steps. But it's just about knowing who you're working with and trying to make them feel comfortable and confident on stage and showing them how it looks. So yeah, definitely. We stand in the mirror together and I do stuff and I try to have them copy me, and sometimes it's good results, and sometimes it's horrific results, but that's the fun of it, Mistakes birth great things.
I like the way you said that. Now, a lot of the X Factor stars from the UK are finally coming out over this way. We've like Ollie Murs. I think it was it John, the two Johns? No.
John and Edward.
Yes, John
yeah,
and
the
Edward.
twins.
Jedward.
Jedward.
There we go.
Yeah.
Will you be working with them when they come out to do their tours, or?
We'll see. The thing is, when I was doing the show in the UK, once the show is over, I come back to America and I get back into my American life. So they've all been having their careers over there. Ollie Murs, Jedward, Rebecca Ferguson, and some of them, we start to hear their names over here, but they haven't really come over yet. So when they come, we'll see. Cher Lloyd came over, One Direction came over, and I've had moments where I've gotten to connect back up with them, but not in the capacity that we did when we were on the show, stuck together every day. But I'm so proud of all of them. To think that One Direction, back when we had them on the show in the UK and they were auditioning and we were putting them through Dance Challenge and they were individual artists auditioning for the show and we put them together, no one ever in that moment would have thought that they would have been global superstars now.
And have directioners following them around now, right?
Directioners everywhere. They're the biggest thing on the planet right now, and to think that that was birthed, from the X Factor is really great for us and our show. It just shows that what we're doing is really working.
That's awesome, and you're a part of it.
I'm happy to be part of it.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time.
You.
I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.